to play for. To a certain extent, we're in a best of one now. Maybe it's the 4 games previous. It don't matter.
It was all
Those are just wins and losses in various columns. It's all about what you do in the next 30, 40 minutes. It's all about what you can put down on the Rift in this Game 5.
Ladies and gentlemen, make it known in Twitch chat. What side are you on? Are you a Sengoku believer or is it DFM supremacy? Honestly, Middlecott, I just adore both these two teams. It'll be fantastic to see Paz return back to the international stage. Or can Yaharongan go there for the first time with DFM?
That is a question that will be answered very, very shortly. Game on in the final of the LJL Spring 2022. Sengoku 2 wins, DFM 2 wins as well. Now's the time for hero plays. Now's the time to have the best game of your career. A lot of the members of this DFM squad have already had victories before. Utapon, Steel, Ebby probably got more trophies in that case than they know what to do with, but this would be a major scalp for every single player.
An interesting fact that you just brought up there. Utapon has actually won more in the LJL than anybody else ever in League esports. He has won 12 titles. DetonatioN FocusMe have won 12 titles. Utapon has been with them for all of them. And what's crazy is he's done it in multiple roles. He's got 2 more W's over Faker. You can tell though who the Twitter public and who maybe they want to represent the LJL. Maybe not need, but want. Ebby though, coming in as if he was on set though, doing this in This is a set tech for Ebby. Oh, I love this.
It's going to force out the smite from once onto the blue buff. Just a little bit more time. A little bit more time that once has to spend clearing is an advantage for Steel, and Ebby should be fine up in the top side. That Twitter poll was very much in favor of DFM, but if you'd said to Sengoku before this series, you have got a 15% chance of taking down the winningest team in World League of Legends history, I think they would have bitten your hand off with that, and they are in that position as it stands.
And what was also important about what Ebby... Oh, God, they go for it.
Facebreaker, Honey being ignited, may have to flash soon, but Utapon not overstepping to try and get the victory. Cleanse used by the Sengoku AD carry, and this has kind of been the way that bot lane has gone this entire series. It's Utapon and Harp getting the early pressure, but Honey has never really been completely out of the game. That's just how good he is as a player.
Really is. Like, Honey, if you haven't heard the name before, ladies and gentlemen, potentially in 2 or 3 years, you won't be able to stop saying his name. He's genuinely one of those kind of talent players that has really kind of strived and grown hugely. Arya came before him, and Arya was kind of starting to flex into their peak a little bit more when Honey entered the LJL, but what a player to honestly just shout the praises. Jet has come in and had a fantastic performance. Once has had up and downs. He's literally been the best in role, and he's struggled in some split. It's fantastic to see him here. And Paz and NT have been just Mr. Consistent in their respected roles for so many splits. It's great to see them here. And honestly, they're kind of peaking low-key at the moment, but we know players like Honey have higher ceilings.
Oh, yeah. I have no doubt that all the players that we are seeing performing so well in this series have got a bit more gas in the tank as we're going to get later. Facebreaker from Harp, the true damage crucially not hitting onto Honey though, means he's a bit more able to stand up in this lane and dish out some punishment of his own.
One other random thing that I didn't mention, but I would like to bring up, you know when Ebby was doing that level 1 stuff, invading and in, what that also did is gave Steel complete information on what Once is doing, because Steel is the kind of mental game, crazy jungler who can just track pathing of players. We've seen it in international play, you know that. He can just be like, oh yeah, I know where Crabber is. Yes, I'm bringing that up again because it's too much fun not to. We've all got to enjoy on the revel that is the greatest LCS meme in the last few years. I'm actually coming over to this as we're in a little bit of a lull state. I can't think of a better meme out of NA since outside of Crabber.
Oh, I mean, just generally the whole DFM beating Cloud9. I don't even know if that's a meme. It's just like one team being better than the other on the day. Yeah. And the fact that we've got Sengoku really pushing it to DFM Makes me actually kind of optimistic for the state of the region, because for so long, LJL has been this one-team region. Everyone beats everyone apart from DFM beats everyone, and then they win the split as well. We've seen V3 take them down in finals in the past in 2020, and we're seeing Sengoku push them close again. I'm so excited for this.
Oh, but we're still in that beginning phase. Steel is just farming up. They're looking to just get that level 6. But remember, both these two teams kind of just like want to scale a little bit. They want to get their first item spike. They want to hit 6 and get those ultimates. So far, everyone's trading somewhat evenly, except for this top lane.
As Ebby really taking the hurt to Paz, but he might be the one hurting in a moment's time. Once making his way to the top side, Ebby slowed down by the smoke screen, still has that flash. Dash coming off of cooldown soon, gets that shield, gets a couple shots to the back of the head, and stays alive. But Honey punishes an invade from Steel and secures first blood for Sengoku.
I don't know how any of that happened, but congratulations to Sengoku taking away another first blood. This hasn't been always on DFM as opposed to that previous series. And hey, with something like this, Harp can look to be aggressive.
Trying to dive onto NT, but the Nautilus can buy a lot of time with that Glacier. We're seeing double TP come through from Sengoku. They know they need to win the early game, and they are going to do it here. Flash over the wall from Jet, landing the Chaos Storm, landing the Gravity Field as Paz is trying to slow down Harp, but DFM are responding. Here comes the TF Destiny. Gate, what is your fate, Sengoku? Will you fall or will you rise? That's a first kill on the fight for Utapon, a second there for Yaharong. They overstepped, they overstayed. Paz is dead as well. Once trying to make a play, throws out the collateral damage. It's the end of the line for Harp, and now it just peters out. Ebby is going to be able to push in a hell of a lot of minions, get a hell of a lot of plates on the top side of the map, and DFM, they are not letting Sengoku take their crown.
Ends up being a 3-for-2 in favor of Detonation FocusMe, but it didn't start out so well. They lost Soul at the very, they lost Steel at the very beginning, and great idea from them, but Honey, you just don't hands check Honey. He's one of the best in the region, and honestly, I am still confident in saying he has the potential to be one of the greats if he has those opportunities and continues at the trajectory he's going on. But this was so well played by the members of DFM when they realized everything was going pear-shaped. They're like, go, 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 dive, 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 collapse, 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 and Utapon is the player that is not dived or collapsed upon by Sengoku Gaming. They're able to rotate around really well here, and it's only once that kind of redeems them a little bit. Honey as well also getting another kill. So it could have been a lot worse.
Yes.
But it could have been a lot better from the side of Sengoku. And frankly, also DFM. These two teams are just jostling for position, aren't they?
They are really fist-fighting each other. And Lexi, we have come across a circumstance we haven't really seen before. Two kills onto Honey, 2 kills onto Utapon as well. We hyped up the power level of these AD carries, and while they may have been overshadowed at points in this series by the likes of Jet, the likes of Yaharong, the likes of Ebby as well, they are still immense carry threats, and there is nothing more that I want to see in the final game of this series than 2 of the best AD carries that this region has ever seen going hell for leather.
These two teams are well and truly playing around everything. Rift Herald has just spawned. DFM typically has always prioritized that over a dragon, but I guess when you consider how Sengoku adapted in their playstyles and kind of started injecting more into these dragons, DFM giving them a bit more respect and actually placing a lot more vision around this bot side. But then that does also kind of make sense and play into where DFM are at the moment, because guess what? All their gold is currently on their mid and bot side as opposed to their top side. Think about it. While Honey is doing great, he's had to deal with a lot of pressure on this bot lane, which has kind of meant there's a 2-wave disparity between these AD carries, which has led to Utapon getting 6, at least half a wave earlier, if not further. It's also led into just more gold. He's gone for that cull, which Honey hasn't been able to do for though. There's a lot of pressure on Utapon to really be the carry for DFM in this game, but Paz hasn't died in this. Well, Paz has died in this top side, so they always have the backup plan of Ebby. So I think Sengoku have a lot of different angles they need to be worried about, is what I'm trying to set up. That's the main point here, Middlecourt.
Well,
I think that I got that there eventually.
I think we got that there.
I think we did. I fumbled
honestly,
that.
mate, this series, I think, has taken a toll on definitely both of us, but all 10 players on the Rift as well. And it's when the experience of winning multiple titles and getting to these finals can really come into play. It's DFM who have a marginal advantage at this point, but it is just that 1,000 gold. We've seen numerous times throughout this series, throughout this split, throughout League of Legends history, that those leads can be turned around in an instant. And with the team fighting that Sengoku have displayed, they are definitely the sort of team that can fight back from those disadvantages.
And remember, DFM got double counter pick. They baited with this set, and then they transitioned actually into the Urgot. Remember, they knew what they were doing in their jungle matchup as well. So there's a lot riding on DFM right here, right now, to be confident in the decisions they make. They decided they wanted some of this, and they've currently got themselves to a 1k gold advantage. Now, that's a little negligible, but a lot of that gold is currently over onto Utapon. So, and Yaharong because of the TF passive, and that's just how that works when you have 93 CS. You just earn a few hundred gold because, I mean, let's talk about a tangent because we're still going to wait for action if these two teams actually have it. Think about how many lines of text everything else has on these new champions nowadays, but if you're just Twisted Fate, more gold is best passive.
Gold is great, and it means that you can accelerate towards the Everfrost Rapid Fire Cannon Spike very, very quickly. DFM maybe choosing to fight before those spikes are online. Drake still on the board, 11.5 minutes in. Sengoku haven't been able to get that early priority onto this objective like they were in the previous matchup, and DFM are going to be more than happy with that, more than happy to play the map and deny potential win condition from their opponents. Harp far up in Sengoku's jungle and maybe a little bit caught out here as he's taking so much damage, throws out the face breaker! And Jet secures the kill. Early gold on the victory is excellent, and that's priority around the Drake for Sengoku.
Yeah, absolutely. And DFM were pinging this out. They were pinging over onto NT as he ran over that ward. The fact is now you've just got to give it over. And I mean, early Umbral Glaive for once on this Graves has just been like kind of cookie cutter. We've questioned it in previous games before, not this series, but in previous series where it's potentially not looked as good. However, DFM love having vision, so once is kind of getting rewarded for the amount of vision that DFM in general just throw out there at the moment. As let's come into this replay, and I have to end on the point that you ended on as well, Middlecott. Jet picking up this kill, so huge. So huge. DFM know, by the way, that these two are coming up. The fact that NT does this blind hook just in case, the CC chain into not being able to see anything from Graves, it was just so nice. But the fact that they get that gold, they feed it into Jet, has meant, hey, look at that. First item's coming out. Everything's gonna keep going. Sengoku!
Mythics completed for both of these mid laners, both of the AD carries as well. Everfrost is the dish of the day, as it just provides that little bit more lockdown to both these compositions, which are so high damage. Like you've got a Nocturne and a Graves in the jungle. These are not champions like the Jarvan, champions like the Lee Sin that can become a little bit irrelevant as we get later into the game. Damage-wise, they are going to be going hell for leather. They are going full force, and they might be going for Paz in this top lane. Ultimate's available, but it's an interrupt to Yaharong. He stops the unstoppable onslaught from Paz. Definitely not unstoppable as he's pulled into the belly of Ebby, who takes him out. And Jet TP'd into the top side, but will find nothing. And Honey finds a hell of a lot of damage onto the back of his head as it's NT thrown into tower. Ignite on him, and Utapon with the kill. Have Sengoku made two crucial mistakes, and have DFM given themselves enough an advantage to keep pushing forward?
Well, the fact is, at the end of the day, Once wasn't a part of either of those side of the map plays. He was right slap bang in the middle, so he couldn't do anything.
Harp stancing up. Honey is low on mana, but Once is coming over. Teleport channeled here. Paz charging forward. Doesn't have the ultimate and stands into the chompers.
Oh, no.
That's a flub. That's a TP invested. A second wasted TP from Sengoku in a minute. And In this game 5, they are not executing as cleanly as they would like.
No, but this is not ring the bell panic moment. Sengoku, take a moment. Reset yourselves. This is still good, and NT could do this.
Too far forward. The Ghost just enough to get away. Double Everfrost pot, but it's only Jet who ends up being rooted. Yaharong speeds himself out of there.
He well and truly does. And by the way, if NT just lands a hook and they have like Jet with somebody else on their team, they're dead. I'm sorry, anybody on the side of DFM, if NT lands a hook and there's more than 2 members, they're dead. Well, it's actually if there's 2 or more. But I want to come back because the gold graphs is here, and we mentioned about obviously the side of Sengoku. They want their gold to go on this mid jungle bot lane. That's where all their damage is. DFM, it's all on Utapon at the moment, and you can't really blame them for wanting to inject all the gold onto this Jinx because Honey's made it look so damn good in the past. But the original player of the LJL who made it look good, that was Utapon. He's been making it look good for years.
1.8k up on the Jinx as it stands, translating into that cull and the Zeal as well. But DFM, they're not willing to overstep. They don't want to go too far against Sengoku, and that means that they might go for this play if they think they can make it work. Showstopper down onto once, who's taking so much damage. The ultimate from Utapon secures it. It's the TF Nocturne combo once again, securing kills for DFM, and it's Sengoku
he's in danger.
Who still can't reply. Still flashes forward, secures the fear tether onto Honey, who's trying to walk away, throws out the Moonlight Vigil, but it's not going to be enough. The Death Laser from Jet does pick up a kill as Yaharong is being slowed down, running towards the tower, but it will go down before he is in range. It's DFM pushing the advantages. They are now 4k up.
Yeah, and while it's really unfortunate they lost Steel in that exchange, the fact that Jet was only able to get 1 on the reply back and then DFM go ahead and get that first turret on the map, you can really feel like DFM are trying to pull the screws onto the side of Sengoku Gaming. That execute from Utapon was huge because it gets him excited. It allows him to try and join this team. But in actuality, they decide, hey, Yuta, you push this bot lane. Let's get that sorted. We'll just indent onto this. They get the gold card. Yaharong has to flash forward for it. But they used a lot for it, but it was all worth it because, hey, if you now look at the gold lead, if you look at the scoreboard at the moment, it's kind of all DFM favored.
Yeah, that is bad reading for Sengoku fans. I know we've got a couple of those who'll be watching this game with... But
it's not over for Sengoku yet. Like, I think that's the important thing to make out. Like, Sengoku are going to get this Rift Herald. That's an important... it's something, right? We have to clutch at straws a little bit, but that doesn't... Just one bad play like that going awry isn't the end of the game. It's if a full 5-man team fight goes bad, that's when Sengoku might have to start ringing the alarm bell.
And I mean, look at Jet, right? He's 2-1-2 on this victory. It's going to be a massive damage threat, and he's getting towards the Void Staff extremely quickly. So yeah, Utapon is in a brilliantly accelerated space, but if you had to ask me whether I prefer to have a 2-item mage or a 2-item AD carry on the board at this point into the game, I feel like I would be favoring the Victor.
Yeah, Victor, I mean, is always scary. We've seen it far too much in just general pro play at the moment. For my liking, personally, I'm not a huge fan of Victor. I know, all right, but whoa. That aside, Victor outputs redonkulous damage, and if you can get the ult on top of like 2 or 3 targets for a few game ticks, you can single-handedly win a team fight. The fact that you've got Honey, the fact that you've got Once, and then you've got Paz and NT who are really good at just playing the like tank front line. We saw that in that last game, remember? They were fantastic at doing that. If Sengoku play a few 5-man team fights and DFM can't really opt into them effectively, it's gonna be their favor. They're looking for something here.
They may be, but this has been a slip-up as Ebby is just teleporting directly into Paz's face, and yeah, you can flash over the wall, you can dash away as much as you like, but I don't think you've got an exit strategy, Ebby. Jet with his 3rd kill of the game. Crucially, Sengoku don't quite get that mid-lane tower, but they are not going down. They are not falling back.
And Sengoku did have to use 3 ults for that kill. Like, that's not lie, but they're also going to be getting their first tower, and it's the mid tower, and normally that's the tower everybody always wants, and because DFM haven't responded, Sengoku are just going to keep knocking on the front door going, hello, is anybody home? DFM respond late, so no!
And that gold lead has been cut in half. Yaron will secure the top lane tower to get a little bit more gold onto himself, but TF not really going to be benefiting from that too much. The Lich Bane that we saw from him a couple games ago was pretty poggers, but this TF is much more focused on being that enabler, and with the Everfrost and Rapid Fire Cannon already locked down, he can do that absolutely fine.
He sure as hell can, but with hell and high water, DFM are looking for something, and hey, Rascal Jester did this to Sengoku a few times, but have they grown wise to it? That's the question.
Sengoku were throwing out some missing pings as the paranoia comes through, but Steel may have overstepped. Showstopper onto the side, so much damage into the backline as it's Harp securing the first kill, but a massive ultimate from Paz puts Sengoku in a decent spot. It's still 2-for-1 in favor of DFM. But they can't step up any further. Steel is dead.
But they got health bars on their side. They could look at trying to push them a bit further, but DFM aren't going to opt into it. They're just going to prevent them. And Middlecott, Sengoku kind of caught out a little bit. And if we see one or two more of those, it could be DFM favored because normally I'd be like, hey, it's not a big deal. Utapon's 5-0-2 right now.
Yes.
So, and this is who I want to focus on in this team fight because Utapon's the one that goes untouched for most of this. Honey tries to go forward, but then has to back out, and then that Super Mega Death Rocket gives Utapon just another kill. Yuta's the target, Sengoku, and if you don't get on top of him, you will lose. He's got 2 items. I love the Rapid Fire Cannon second item. He just wants to stay out of the range of Paz and Enti, and also Jet, and if he can stay out of their range, he hasn't got anything to worry about.
Yeah, I think if you're Sengoku, you want to be looking for these flangles now. You want to be catching DFM by surprise.
Don't humor them.
I'm picking them.
Forgot who I'm casting with
Ocean
for a
Drake
moment there.
Maybe an opportunity to find some of those picks. Both teams currently sat on 1 Drake apiece. But if you're able to get a 3-stack Ocean Soul, that's going to be a hell of a lot of healing in these later team fights. And we've not got many assassins on the board. So in these longer fights, that bonus healing, that regen is going to be very impactful.
But this is Silver Scrapes, Middlecott. This is where we found ourselves after 4 games, after 107 matches of the LJL. This is what it's culminated to, and these 2 teams, they're still jostling for position. Yeah, DFM have a slight gold lead, but remember an infamous Sengoku tweet. We play late game, and we're hitting the 22-minute mark. Remember, in one of these matches, DFM looked like the game was over at 26 minutes. They ended it with the Nexus exploding. It doesn't quite feel that way, and yeah, Enti's died a few times. Yeah, Paz has died a few times. That's kind of their job, ladies and gentlemen, because if Honey, if Jet don't go on, if they go untouched, especially coming into this fight, they're pretty happy. But Yaharong has TP. They're gonna have the Destiny. They've got the combo wombo ready, and he's just walking down. If he doesn't have to use his TP, he'll be very happy.
And this is reminding me of a previous setup that we saw in the last game. Lexi Steel ended up ulting onto Paz, and the fight went in Sengoku's favor. It's a defensive Destiny from Yaharong just to get himself into the fight. Hook lands onto Ebby as he's taking so much damage into the backline. Dives Harp as he tries to get as much true damage as he can. 2 kills already secured by Jet as Utapon does get a reset and wants to pop off as much as he can. But he's not quite able to find the target access because of that gravity field. The Drake in DFM's favor, the fight for Sengoku.
It's really just edges here. The paranoia kind of prevented the side of Sengoku from even attempting to try and secure that. But it really was just Paz and crew playing the fight really well, but DFM securing this Drake. And this is paranoia doing its job to get them the objective. The issue is, they inject a lot of their cooldowns straight onto Enti, who then Zhonya's as well. Probably didn't need to Zhonya, but hey, I mean, it also kind of allowed Utapon to stay excited for a bit longer, but ultimately, it led to the side of Sengoku getting 2 kills because they went so deep to try and kill Enti. But the shutdown gold now on Utapon is 700 gold. And if you can get that onto Honey, or if you can get that onto Jet, or hell, at this point, once, Sengoku might be able to turn this game around. Oh my, what a game 5.
It was a 4K deficit for them 10 minutes ago. It is a 2K deficit for them now. DFM haven't been able to push their early advantage. Sengoku have been fighting back. 6 kills, 3 items on Jet as it stands, picking up that Zhonya's to buy a little bit more time, have a little bit more safety, be able to reset those cooldowns in team fights without taking damage. And he's going to be having to fight up against Utapon, who has now completed that Infinity Edge. Two of the best performing players in the LJL going to be going all at it, and it's still finding the engagement. He gets knocked up. They can't find the assassination onto once. That's Destiny Bird. That is Fear Beyond Death Bird. That is Super Mega Death Rocket and the Destiny Gate taken off the table. All those proactive tools down for DFM.
Yeah, Paz did decide to TP in, but guess what? He's got Spellbook, so he can just rotate that back around. Ebby had to use his, but he can't rotate around. There's an exhaust currently on Paz, and they can do Baron. They absolutely can middle cop.
There is so much damage on this Sengoku lineup. The Baron is already down to 5k, but they are being flanked. Harp trying to find an engage, does pick up the Star Closer into the team, gets a double face breaker, and Honey has been stunned but not taken out. Ebby looking for a kill, finds Jet. That's the main carry for Sengoku, and that means the fight is going to go disastrously, but Honey is popping off on the side, somehow still alive, somehow still doing the damage. Low health bars for DFM. Does Yaharong want to step up? Does Utapon want to chase? Or will they let Honey run away? They're going to back off. They're going to return to the Baron.
This is super risky if you're Sengoku, because guess who has TP? It's Jet.
In a game 5, they're going to go for it, though. Still 14 seconds on the Victor, and I'm not sure if he's going to be respawning in time. It's Honey, the lone warrior, the one person standing in DFM's way of securing this Baron, and the paranoia has inflicted mental damage, has inflicted psychic damage onto Sengoku's AD carry, and he does not step up. He just backs himself away. DFM, they secure the Baron. Maybe that's enough.
While fear means you can't block artifact or black creatures, fear here means you run away in terror from the side of Detonation FocusMe, and they've got multiple ways to make you fear. This fight goes in their favor, but I mean, Ebby had to face tank literally Honey and NT at the same time, and so many members. They win that team fight, they get the Baron, but it feels like this game was still on a knife's edge. Let's see what DFM can actually make off of this Baron buff. They are going to have it, though, for Ocean, which means they probably can get to Ocean Soul. And then the question's going to be, is it enough of a lead for DFM to close this game out with that combo that they've brought into this series? Or is it going to be Sengoku finding the way, scaling up, just getting a few more items and kind of going, that was cute and all, DFM, but we scale? Which is it going to be? I feel like I'm DFM favored at the moment with that 5k gold lead they've got, but I'm not counting out Honey or Jet anymore. They've shown miracles.
They absolutely have. They've displayed miraculous performances to even get themselves to this final, let alone take us to a Game 5. DFM starting to push now with this Baron buff, taking out that mid lane tower, trying to reclaim some of the gold lead that Sengoku so beautifully snatched away from them. And it's the 12-time champions who, for the moment at least, have the advantage and have that pressure around the Ocean Drake. Sengoku can opt in. They can go for it. They are not too far behind that they are irrelevant in these fights, but it is going to be a tough, tough task. They're not going to go for it. They're just going to give this one over to DFM, but that puts you on a timer. If you're not able to force DFM away from that Drake in the next 5 minutes and deny that soul from them, you may have just signed your own death warrant.
I think it was kind of a devil's play for the side of Sengoku if they decided to opt into that. They didn't have Baron, and the fact that DFM have Baron, they could prep their waves. Yaharong was split pushing. It's a difficult option for them to make the call. I would have loved it if they had decided to go basically like 3-man, 4-man onto Yaharong, but the issue is it's a twisted fate, so if he ever feels a little bit scared, he'll just Destiny and have a look. The side of DFM, though, rotating around, hopeful to try and find somebody. They didn't, because guess what? Sengoku are a smart team and they don't just hang around just for the sake of hanging around. Though they do sometimes do that. So, I mean, hey, they're not flawless. They're not perfect, but that's on Burning Core, the player flawless. So, I have to hold up as it is standing currently. That Baron power play has actually been the smallest one in this series. So, only 1.3k, and the team fight kind of explains why. The fact is they weren't really able to knock down any of the base of Sengoku Gaming as it stands really with that buff, and middle court, Sengoku holding the door rather well.
Holding it, but DFM are trying to crash down.
Oh yeah.
They are trying to get an axe through that door, and Sengoku maybe stared lying in the bath with a knife and not able to get out of it. I like what they're doing, though. They're trying to get Honey towards this third item as quickly as possible. We saw once give over the Scuttle Crab to his AD carry, and I'm telling you, if a jungler does that for you, give him an honor after the game, because that's a real tough thing for a jungler to do. But now we see it, the Infinity Edge completed. Udabon, still an item up, but Honey at least partially relevant. It's not so much a battle of the AD carries as it is Jet versus Yaharong, but Honey is going to be contributing as much damage as he can.
Yaharong also up to 4 items, so I mean, hey, he's not going to do a lot of damage, but that Lich Bane now there, it's going to do more with that Zonya as well, though Paz taking a lot of damage. Oh.
Yeah, the sign is incredibly tanky, though. Pull back into his team with that showstopper, and Paz is still alive. DFM, they may have made the play onto the wrong member of Sengoku, as the Fear Beyond Death is also going to be used. Rocket thrown out once, 30% HP, as Honey may have overstepped here. Is going to be forced to cleanse, but still gets rooted. Solo HP as Yahrog flashes for blue card, takes out the AD carry, and Enti's going to be falling as well. 2 for 0 so far for DFM, and the Rockets are starting to fire out from Udapon, the longest standing player on this roster, dealing the damage and maybe securing them another title.
What a performance there. The blue card, it doesn't matter what color the card is. If you get the kill, you get the win. DFM, it's 30 minutes. They could genuinely look to end.
Paz and once against the world, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough. We thought that they could have stood up. They did stand up. It was exceptional as Paz goes golden, but isn't going to be able to buy enough time. There was the possibility of a new Shogun, of a new Emperor, but DFM reigns supreme and are your LJL champions.
And was there ever any doubt? Congratulations.